Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the Earth's Guardian, looking out at the debris field that had once been the Vextar fleet. Twisted pieces of biomechanical ships drifted through space like dead insects, their living metal hull no longer glowing with alien life. In 4 hours, humanity had achieved what the galaxy thought impossible. Final battle assessment complete, Admiral, reported Navigator Jung Yura, checking her displays one more time. 837 enemy vessels destroyed. 0 human ships lost. 12 vessels reported minor damage, but all are fully operational. Kim could hardly believe the numbers. The battle had been so one-sided it barely qualified as a fight. The Vextar, who had terrorized multiple star systems and consumed entire worlds, had been swept away like dust before a hurricane. Communications Officer Lim Yoon-soo looked up from her station with excitement in her eyes. Admiral, we're receiving surrender transmissions from Vextar ground forces on all the occupied worlds. They're laying down their weapons and requesting terms. What changed their minds so quickly? Asked Commander Yoon Ji-woo. Word of their fleet's destruction spread through their command network instantly, sir. Without their ships, the ground forces know they're trapped. They're terrified that we'll do to them what they did to our civilians. Admiral Kim felt a grim satisfaction. The aliens who had shown no mercy to human families were now begging for the mercy they had never given others. But unlike the Vextar, humanity would not stoop to their level. Tell the ground commanders they will be treated according to galactic law, Kim ordered. We are not monsters like them. But make it clear that any attempt to harm remaining prisoners will result in immediate retaliation. Colonel Seo Junho's voice came through the communication system from the Liberation Fleet approaching the nearest captured world. Admiral, this is Colonel Seo. We're beginning landing operations on Kepler 442b early. Reports suggest the Vextar are abandoning their breeding facilities and releasing all prisoners. Kim felt relief wash over him. Every human saved from those horrible alien breeding chambers was a victory more important than any military success. Colonel, what condition are the survivors in? Asked Medical Officer Han Ji-young, who was preparing hospital ships for the rescue operations. Better than we feared, Doctor. The Vextar kept them alive and relatively healthy for their breeding purposes. Most prisoners can be evacuated immediately. Seo's voice grew harder. But the facilities themselves? Doctor, what these aliens did to our people is beyond anything we imagined. Han closed her eyes, preparing herself for what she would find when the rescue ships arrived. We'll be ready to help them, Colonel. Every human who survived those places is a hero. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news of humanity's victory was spreading like wildfire. Ambassador Lee Ha-young sat in the Galactic Council chambers, watching alien representatives who had ignored human pleas for help just days earlier. Ambassador Lee, said the Zenthari representative, his voice much more respectful than before. The Zenthari Republic wishes to congratulate humanity on this unexpected victory. Perhaps we could discuss mutual defense agreements. Lee smiled coldly. Yesterday you laughed when I showed you footage of destroyed human colonies. You said humanity deserved what was happening to us. Now you want our protection? The Zenthari shifted uncomfortably. The situation has changed. Your species has demonstrated capabilities we did not realize you possessed. All around the council chamber, representatives from dozens of species were having similar conversations. The same aliens who had called humans too aggressive and primitive were now scrambling to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. Dr. Nam Hyejin worked in her laboratory aboard the Earth's Guardian, analyzing captured Vextar technology. Admiral, you need to see this analysis. The Vextar bioships are far more advanced than we initially thought, but they have one fatal flaw. What kind of flaw? Kim asked, joining her at the science station. Their entire design philosophy is based on fighting technologically inferior opponents. They never developed defenses against weapons that could damage them faster than they could heal. When they encountered our quantum systems, their adaptive abilities became useless. This explained why the battle had been so one-sided. The Vextar had built their military around fighting primitive species with basic weapons. When faced with humanity's advanced technology, their biological advantages meant nothing. There's more, Admiral, Dr. Nam continued. According to their computer systems, the Vextar have destroyed over 40 different civilizations using the same tactics they tried on us. But none of those species had technology comparable to ours. Kim felt sadness for all the innocent species that had been consumed by these monsters, but also pride in humanity's achievement. So we're the first civilization to defeat them decisively. Not just defeat them, sir. We've proven that their entire military strategy is flawed. Other species will be able to use our example to defend themselves. Fleet Commander Shin Dong-wook approached the science station with reports from across the fleet. Admiral, our forces have secured all 12 captured systems. The breeding facilities have been destroyed and every human prisoner has been rescued. Total civilian casualties were much lower than we feared. How many people did we save? Over 2 million, sir. The Vextar were keeping them alive for breeding purposes, which ironically saved most of their lives. Admiral Kim felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. When this war began, he had feared that millions of humans would die before it ended. Instead, humanity had achieved total victory while saving almost everyone the aliens had captured. Captain Park Subin's voice came through the speakers from her scout ship. Admiral, I'm receiving new orders from Earth Command. They want us to establish permanent patrol fleets in the outer systems to prevent future alien invasions. Kim nodded approvingly. Earth has learned that hiding behind our borders won't protect us from threats like the Vextar. We need to be ready to defend ourselves and others. This represented a fundamental change in human policy. For centuries, Earth had focused on internal development and peaceful trade. The Vextar invasion had shown that sometimes peaceful species needed warriors to protect them from monsters. Communications Officer Lim looked up with amazement in her voice. Admiral, we're receiving messages from over 30 different species requesting military cooperation treaties. Everyone wants humanity as an ally now. I suppose demonstrating that we can destroy an empire in 4 hours has changed some minds, Kim said with dry humor. Dr. Nam pulled up a galactic map showing the former Vextar Empire. Admiral, intelligence reports suggest their remaining forces are in complete disarray. Some are surrendering to local species. Others are fleeing to unknown regions. Their empire is finished. Kim studied the map, thinking about everything that had changed in just a few days. When this began, humanity was seen as a young, aggressive species that other civilizations barely tolerated. Now Earth was emerging as one of the galaxy's major military powers. Admiral, said Commander Yoon, what are your orders for the fleet? Kim looked around the bridge at his crew, then out at the massive human fleet floating in formation around his ship. These men and women had just achieved the impossible, proving that humanity deserved its place among the stars. Send a message to the entire fleet, he said. Today we showed the galaxy who we are. Not conquerors seeking to dominate others, but protectors willing to defend the innocent. We proved that humanity stands ready to face any threat, no matter how powerful. Kim paused, thinking of all the human families that would sleep safely tonight because of what these brave people had accomplished. And let it be known, throughout the galaxy, humanity will never again allow monsters like the Vextar to threaten peaceful species. We have taken our place as guardians of the innocent, and we will defend that position with everything we have. The bridge crew smiled with pride as they sent the Admiral's words across human space and beyond. The war was over, but humanity's journey as a galactic power was just beginning. The universe would never be the same. The human fleet burst out of hyperspace like thunder from a clear sky. 10,000 warships appeared in perfect formation around the Vextar positions, their weapons already charging and targeting systems locked on. War Prime Thekval watched in horror from his flagship, as impossible numbers of human vessels materialized where empty space had been seconds before. How many ships? Thekval demanded, his biomechanical voice crackling with panic. Over 10,000 confirmed contacts, War Prime. This is impossible. Human forces numbered in the hundreds at most. Captain Ryu Jae-sung commanded the heavy cruiser Incheon's Vengeance at the front of the human formation. His ship's quantum cannons were the first to fire, sending beams of pure energy slicing through space toward the nearest Vextar bioship. The alien vessel tried to twist away, but the human weapons moved at the speed of light. The quantum beam hit the Vextar ship directly in its central hull. Instead of the small damage the aliens expected from primitive human weapons, the beam cut completely through the biomechanical armor, like a knife through butter. The alien ship split in half, its living metal screaming as it died. Direct hit, shouted Weapons Officer Kim Se-ron from the Incheon's Vengeance. Their bio-armor offers no protection against quantum weapons. All across the battlefield, human ships opened fire with weapons the Vextar had never seen before. Energy beams that could slice through their adaptive hulls. torpedo systems that prevented their ships from healing, and targeting computers that predicted every biomechanical movement pattern. Fighter pilot An Mi-kyung led Squadron 7 against a massive Vextar hive ship that was 3 times larger than any human vessel. The alien monster turned toward her fighters, opening weapon ports that glowed with bioacid charges. All fighters, execute attack pattern Delta, An commanded over the radio. Hit them with everything we have. 20 human fighters dove toward the huge alien ship in perfect coordination. Their plasma cannons fired in sequence, each shot aimed at a specific weak point identified by their targeting computers. The Vextar vessel tried to heal the damage, but the human weapons fired faster than its bioarmor could regenerate. Within minutes, the massive hive ship was falling apart, pieces of its hull drifting away as its internal systems failed. An watched with satisfaction as secondary explosions rippled through the alien vessel. Target destroyed, she reported, moving to engage the next enemy formation. Fleet Coordinator Park Hyun-woo managed the entire battle from his position aboard the command ship. His display showed every human vessel and every enemy target, updating in real time as the fighting continued. What he saw amazed even him. "Admiral, our forces are performing beyond all expectations," Park reported to Admiral Kim. "Enemy resistance is minimal. Their weapons cannot penetrate our adaptive shields, and our firepower is overwhelming their biomechanical defenses." The Vextar had built their entire military strategy around fighting primitive opponents. Their bioships could heal damage from simple energy weapons and kinetic projectiles. Their acid weapons could eat through basic metal armor. Their psychic coordination gave them advantages over species that relied on radio communications. But humanity had studied them carefully and built weapons specifically designed to kill biomechanical ships. Every human vessel carried technology that exploited Vextar weaknesses while negating their strengths. Electronic warfare specialist Kim Se-ron worked frantically at her station, flooding Vextar neural networks with disruptive signals. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive confusion in their command structure. Their psychic coordination is breaking down under our electronic interference." This was the genius of human military planning. While other species had tried to fight the Vextar using conventional tactics, humanity had analyzed their enemy's greatest strength and turned it into a weakness. The psychic network that normally gave the aliens perfect coordination now became a vulnerability that human technology could exploit. War Prime. Thekval watched his fleet dying around him. Unable to understand what was happening, his bioships, which had seemed invincible against other species, were being destroyed with terrifying efficiency. Human weapons cut through Vextar armor like it was made of paper. "How are they doing this?" he screamed at his tactical officers. "Their technology was primitive. Their ships were weak." "War Prime, I think we were wrong about human capabilities. These are not the same ships we fought before. These vessels are far more advanced than anything we encountered." Captain Lee Sung-min commanded the destroyer Busan's Fury, which was pursuing Thekval's flagship through the battlefield debris. The Vextar command ship was larger and more heavily armored than other biovessels, but it was still no match for human quantum weapons. "Target their command center," Lee ordered his weapons officer. "Let's end this quickly." The destroyer's main cannon charged with a high-pitched whine, then fired a concentrated quantum beam directly at the alien flagship's brain center. The biomechanical hull tried to absorb the energy, but human weapons were designed to overcome such defenses. Thekval felt his ship dying around him as the quantum beam burned through its living metal hull. In his final moments, he managed to send one last message to the Vextar Empire. "The humans, they are not what we believed. They are..." The transmission cut off as Lee's destroyer delivered the killing blow. The Vextar flagship exploded in a brilliant flash, taking their supreme commander with it. All across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human forces systematically destroyed every alien vessel. The Vextar bioships that had seemed so terrifying against civilian targets proved helpless against Earth's real military technology. Tactical Officer Bae Kyung-min monitored the battle's progress from the Fleet Command Center. "Admiral, enemy resistance is collapsing rapidly. We've destroyed over 600 Vextar vessels in the past 2 hours. Remaining enemies are attempting to retreat. Don't let any escape," Admiral Kim ordered coldly. "Every ship that leaves this system could warn the rest of their empire about our capabilities. We need complete surprise for our next operations." The human fleet pursued the fleeing Vextar vessels with ruthless efficiency, faster than the bioships and armed with superior weapons. The human forces caught and destroyed every alien vessel that tried to escape. Commander Yoon Ji-woo watched the tactical display as the last enemy contacts disappeared from their screens. Admiral, all Vextar forces in this system have been eliminated. Total enemy casualties, 837 vessels destroyed. Our losses, 12 ships damaged, none destroyed. Admiral Kim stared at the display, hardly believing what he was seeing. The battle they had expected to last for days was over in just 4 hours. The supposedly invincible Vextar fleet had been completely annihilated, without destroying a single human ship. "Confirmed, Admiral," reported Captain Park Subin from her scout vessel. "I'm detecting no remaining enemy vessels in the system. The Vextar fleet has been completely destroyed." The bridge of the Earth's Guardian erupted in cheers, but Admiral Kim remained focused. This was just the beginning. The Vextar Empire still controlled dozens of systems and held millions of human prisoners. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim," he announced to the fleet. "Today we showed the galaxy what happens when you threaten human families. But our work is not finished. We have colonies to liberate and people to save. The greatest military victory in human history was complete, but the war for humanity's survival was just beginning." Fleet Commander Shin Dong-wook stood in the command center of the massive dreadnought New Seoul, watching thousands of ships take their positions. The human fleet stretched across space like a metal constellation, hidden behind the radiation of a dying star. Every vessel pulsed with barely contained energy, ready for the battle ahead. "Commander, final ship count is confirmed," reported Tactical Officer Bae Kyung-min. 10,412 vessels of all classes. Every captain has confirmed ready status. Shin nodded as he studied the fleet formation on his displays. Heavy dreadnoughts formed the center, their massive hulls bristling with quantum cannons. Fast cruisers took the flanks, ready to strike quickly and disappear. Thousands of fighters swarmed around the larger ships like angry insects, each one piloted by a volunteer who knew the stakes. "Any word from our spies in Vextar territory?" Shin asked. Communications Officer Lim Yoon-soo looked up from her station. "Yes, sir. The aliens are completely confident. War Prime Thekval sent a message to his homeworld yesterday, claiming the human threat will be eliminated within days." Shin smiled coldly. The Vextar had no idea what was coming for them. They thought they were fighting the same poorly armed civilian ships they had been destroying for weeks. Soon they would learn the truth about human military power. Medical Officer Han Ji-young approached the command center, carrying data pads filled with survivor testimonies. Her face was pale but determined. "Commander, I've finished documenting what the refugees told us about Vextar methods." "How bad is it, Doctor?" "Worse than we thought. The aliens aren't just killing our people quickly. They're keeping them alive in breeding chambers, using them as living incubators for their larvae. Children, adults, elderly people, none are spared." Her voice shook with controlled anger. "They're treating human beings like cattle." Shin felt rage building in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Make sure every ship captain sees those reports. Our people need to understand exactly what we're fighting." Dr. Han nodded. "I've already sent copies to the entire fleet." "Commander, there's something else. The survivors described seeing other alien species in the breeding chambers. The Vextar have done this before to other civilizations." This information spread quickly through the fleet communications. Now every human warrior knew they weren't just fighting for their own species. They were fighting to stop monsters who had destroyed countless innocent civilizations across the galaxy. Captain Park Subin's voice came through the speakers from her scout ship. "Commander, I've completed the final reconnaissance sweep. The Vextar fleet is positioned exactly where our intelligence predicted. They're spread across the system in small groups, confident that no serious attack is possible." "How many ships do they have?" asked Tactical Officer Bay. 837 confirmed vessels, sir. Most are concentrated around the central breeding facility. They're using captured human colonies as forward bases. Shin studied the tactical display showing Vextar positions. The aliens had made a classic mistake, spreading their forces too thin because they didn't respect their enemy. Each group of bioships was small enough for human forces to destroy quickly before the others could respond. "Perfect. They've handed us the battle on a silver plate." Shin turned to his weapons officer. "Status report on our special equipment?" "All quantum weapons are charged and ready, sir. The new targeting systems are online. Every ship has been equipped with biodisruption torpedoes designed specifically for Vextar hulls. These were humanity's secret weapons, developed in hidden laboratories while the aliens celebrated their easy victories. Biodisruption torpedoes could prevent Vextar ships from healing themselves. Quantum cannons could slice through their adaptive armor faster than it could regenerate. The aliens had never faced anything like human military technology. Engineer Song Yu-jin reported from the engine room. Commander, all ships are showing green on the adaptive shield systems. If the Vextar use their bioacid weapons, our hulls will automatically adjust to resist them. Excellent work, Engineer. How long until we're ready to jump? Hyperspace drives are charged and ready, sir. We can begin the attack whenever Admiral Kim gives the order. Shin looked around the command center at his crew. These men and women had trained for years for a battle like this, but none of them had ever faced an enemy that ate entire worlds. They were scared, but they were also angry and determined. Every person in the fleet knew that human survival depended on the next few hours. Admiral Kim's face appeared on the main screen, transmitting from the Earth's Guardian. Fleet Commander Shin, are we ready to show the galaxy what humanity can do? Yes, sir. Every ship is in position and fully armed. The Vextar have no idea we're here. Good, I want you to know that Earth is proud of all of you. You're about to fight the most important battle in human history. Admiral Kim's voice grew harder. These aliens think we're weak because they've only seen our civilian ships. They're about to learn the difference between human merchants and human warriors. Navigator Young Yu-ra called out from her station. Admiral, jump calculations are complete. We'll emerge directly in the center of their formation exactly as planned. Perfect. The Vextar will be so surprised they won't have time to coordinate a defense. Admiral Kim looked directly at the camera. All ships, this is your Admiral speaking. In 5 minutes we jump into battle. Remember what we're fighting for. Remember the families depending on us. Remember that the galaxy is watching to see if humanity deserves to survive. Shin felt pride surge through him as he looked at the massive fleet surrounding his ship. Every vessel represented years of human ingenuity and determination. Every crew member was a volunteer who had chosen to risk everything for their species. 2 minutes to jump, announced Navigator Jung. The command center fell silent except for the hum of charging weapons and the quiet voices of crew members making final preparations. Everyone understood that the next few hours would determine whether humanity remained free or became food for alien monsters. 1 minute to jump. Shin took a deep breath and activated the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Fleet Commander Shin. In 60 seconds, we're going to hit the Vextar with everything we have. They think they're fighting weak humans with primitive weapons. Let's show them what our real military can do. 10 seconds to jump. The entire fleet held its breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump. Space twisted around 10,000 human warships as they vanished into hyperspace, carrying humanity's fury toward an enemy that had never faced Earth's true power. The Vextar Empire was about to receive the shock of their existence. The battle for humanity's survival was finally beginning. General Choi Minho walked through the massive weapons bay of Luna Base, watching the final preparations. Huge robots moved quantum torpedoes into loading tubes while technicians checked every system twice. The air buzzed with energy and purpose. In just 2 days, this equipment would be heading into battle. General, the new shield systems are ready for installation, said Engineer Song Yu-jin, wiping sweat from her forehead. She had been working for 18 hours straight, but her eyes were bright with determination. These shields can adapt to biomechanical weapons. The Vextar won't be able to penetrate them like they did our colony defenses. Choi nodded approvingly. How many ships can we equip? All of them, sir. We've been preparing these systems for months, just waiting for the right moment to deploy them. This was the secret the Vextar didn't know. While they celebrated their early victories, humanity had been studying every piece of alien wreckage they could find. Earth scientists had worked day and night to understand biomechanical technology and find ways to defeat it. Dr. Nam Hyejin looked up from her computer terminal. General, I've finished the harmonic analysis of their ship hulls. The biometal they use has a specific resonance frequency. Our energy weapons can exploit this weakness if we tune them correctly. Excellent work, Doctor. How confident are you? Very confident, sir. In our tests, properly tuned weapons cut through Vextar bioarmor like it was paper. They've never faced this kind of targeted attack before. Choi smiled grimly. The aliens thought human technology was primitive because they had only seen civilian vessels. Merchant ships had basic laser weapons and simple metal hulls. The Vextar had no idea that Earth's military used quantum energy systems and adaptive armor that was decades ahead of anything they had encountered. Captain O-Tae Young entered the weapons bay, still wearing his flight suit. He had just returned from a dangerous mission deep in Vextar territory. His face was serious, but his eyes showed excitement. "General, you need to see this intelligence data immediately," O said, handing over a data pad. "What we found changes everything." Choi read the report quickly, his expression growing darker with each line. "They're using our people as breeding stock?" "Yes, sir. The captured colonists aren't being killed quickly. The Vextar are keeping them alive to feed their larvae. They're literally farming humans to create more bioships." O's voice was tight with anger. Lieutenant Kang So-young had to sacrifice her fighter to get this information out. She rammed a Vextar scout to make sure the data reached us. The general closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of all the brave pilots who had died getting crucial intelligence. Every piece of information cost human lives, but it also brought them closer to victory. "How many breeding facilities have they established?" Choi asked. "At least 6 major installations spread across the captured systems. Each one can produce hundreds of new bioships over the next few months." Choi felt his anger building. These aliens weren't just invaders. They were parasites using human beings as raw material for their war machine. Every day the battle was delayed meant more innocent people would suffer horrible deaths. "Sir," Song Yujin interrupted, "Admiral Kim is requesting an update on our preparations." Choi activated the communication system. Admiral Kim's face appeared on the screen, looking tired but determined. "General, what's our status?" "All weapon systems are ready for deployment, Admiral. Dr. Nam has solved the bioarmor problem, and Engineer Song has equipped the entire fleet with adaptive shields. We're also installing the new targeting computers that can track biomechanical movement patterns." Kim looked pleased. "What about the intelligence from Captain O's mission?" "The Vextar are completely unprepared for our real capabilities, sir. Their entire strategy is based on fighting species with inferior technology. They've spread their forces thin because they think no significant human response is possible." On another screen, they could see intercepted Vextar communications. The alien commanders were actually celebrating, discussing how easy the humans had been to defeat. War Prime Thekval, their supreme commander, was boasting about the rapid conquest of human space. "Look at this transmission," said Communications Officer Lim Yun-soo, joining the conversation from the Earth's Guardian. "The Vextar leader is telling his subordinates that humans are fragile, short-lived creatures with no understanding of true warfare. He expects to finish the conquest within 1 more week." Choi laughed coldly. "He's about to learn the difference between human merchants and human soldiers." Dr. Nam spoke up from her workstation. "Admiral, I've been analyzing their tactical patterns. The Vextar rely heavily on their ship's ability to heal and adapt during battle, but our new weapons don't give them time to adapt. We can destroy their vessels faster than they can regenerate." "What about their psychic coordination?" Kim asked. "Intelligence reports say they can communicate instantly across vast distances. That's actually their weakness now." "Sir," explained Captain O, "we've developed electronic warfare systems that can disrupt their neural networks. Instead of giving them an advantage, their psychic link becomes a vulnerability we can exploit." Admiral Kim smiled for the first time in days. "It sounds like we're ready to give them a surprise they'll never forget." Engineer Song checked her chronometer. "Sir, the last batch of quantum torpedoes will be loaded in 6 hours. Every ship in the fleet will be fully armed and equipped." "And the crews?" Kim asked. General Choi looked around the busy weapons bay. Technicians, engineers, and soldiers worked together with perfect coordination. Everyone understood what was at stake. "Morale is excellent, Admiral. Every person on every ship volunteered for this mission. They know they might not come home, but they also know they're fighting to save humanity." "Good. In 24 hours we jump to the Centauri cluster. The Vextar think they've won this war." Kim's voice grew harder. "We're going to show them they haven't even seen us fight yet." As the communication ended, Choi looked out through the base's massive windows at the fleet assembling near Earth. Thousands of warships floated in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor and bristling with weapons the Vextar had never seen before. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak because human civilians didn't fight back effectively. But now they would face Earth's real military, armed with technology specifically designed to kill biomechanical ships. Tomorrow, the Vextar Empire would learn why humans had conquered their own solar system in just a few centuries. They would discover what happened when humanity's protective instincts were awakened by threats to innocent people. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what was coming for them. Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the starship Earth's Guardian, watching the emergency reports flood in. Red warning lights blinked across every screen. His face was calm, but his eyes showed worry. The news was bad, very bad. "Admiral, we have another message from the Centauri colonies," said Communications Officer Lim Yoon-soo. Her voice shook a little. "Colony 7 has gone silent. That makes 12 worlds lost in the past week." Kim nodded slowly. The alien Vextar Empire was moving fast, too fast. Their biomechanical ships were like nothing humans had ever seen before. They ate planets, turning everything into fuel for their war machine. Millions of people were already dead or missing. Captain Park Subin's voice crackled through the speakers. She was commanding the scout ship Soul's Pride, one of the few vessels that had escaped a Vextar attack. "Admiral, I'm sending you the battle data now. These aliens, their ships are alive. They heal themselves and grow stronger after each fight." Kim watched the footage from Park's ship. The Vextar vessels looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh. They moved in strange ways, bending and twisting through space. When human weapons hit them, the holes closed up like wounds healing. It was terrifying. "How many civilians did you save?" Kim asked. 2,000 from Kepler 442b, sir. But the planet is gone. Completely drained. Nothing left but a dead rock. Park's voice was tired and sad. The aliens didn't just destroy the colony. They consumed everything living on the surface. Kim felt anger building in his chest. These creatures weren't just conquering human space. They were eating it. Every person, every animal, every plant became food for their endless hunger. "Admiral," came another voice. It was Ambassador Lee Ha-young, calling from the Galactic Council station. "I have news from the emergency session." Kim knew what she would say before she spoke. "They refused to help us, yes, sir. The Council voted against military intervention. They say humanity is too aggressive and that we brought this war on ourselves." Lee sounded disgusted. The Zenthari representative actually laughed when I showed them the footage of the destroyed colonies. This was typical. The other alien races in the galaxy always said humans were too violent, too quick to fight. They called Earth's people barbarians who solved everything with weapons. But now when actual barbarians were destroying human worlds, those same aliens did nothing. "What about trade sanctions? Economic pressure?" Kim asked, though he already knew the answer. "Nothing. The Council says the Vextar Empire has the right to expand their territory. They claim it's not their problem." Lee paused. "Admiral, we're completely alone in this." Kim looked out at the stars through the bridge windows. Somewhere out there, human families were dying while aliens who called themselves civilized watched and did nothing. The galaxy's greatest powers would not lift a finger to help. "Then we'll handle this ourselves," Kim said quietly. He turned to his communications officer. "Lim, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them I'm activating Protocol 7. The bridge went silent. Protocol 7 was the emergency mobilization order. It meant calling up every military ship, every reserve unit, every weapon that Earth had. It had never been used before, not even during the worst human conflicts. "Sir, are you sure?" asked Commander Yoon Ji-woo, his second-in-command. "Protocol 7 means total war. Every resource, every ship." "The Vextar want to eat our people and our worlds," Kim replied. "They think humans are weak because they've only seen our civilian ships and basic patrol craft. They have no idea what Earth's real military can do." Kim activated his personal communicator and spoke directly to Earth. "This is Admiral Kim Dae-ho. Authorization code Alpha 779. I am declaring a state of total war against the Vextar Empire. Activate all defense fleets. Mobilize every ship, every weapon, every soldier. The survival of humanity depends on what we do next." The response came back quickly from Earth Command. "Protocol 7 confirmed, Admiral. Fleet mobilization beginning immediately." Commander Yoon moved to the tactical display. "Sir, according to our latest intelligence, the Vextar have spread their forces across 15 systems. They're confident we can't mount any serious resistance." "Good," Kim said. "Let them think that. How long until our fleet is ready?" 72 hours for full mobilization, sir." Kim nodded. 3 days to gather the largest military force in human history. 3 days to prepare for a battle that would decide whether humanity survived or became food for alien monsters. Admiral, there's something else. Park Subin's voice came through again. The survivors I rescued. They told me the Vextar are planning something big, not just more attacks. They're building something in the central system. Something huge. Kim felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of something? They don't know exactly, but the aliens keep talking about a great feeding. The refugees think the Vextar are planning to use the captured colonies as breeding grounds for their next generation of war beasts. The bridge fell silent again. Everyone understood what that meant. The Vextar weren't just destroying human worlds for resources. They were turning human territory into factories for making more alien soldiers. Kim looked at the star map showing human space. Red dots marked the destroyed colonies. Yellow dots showed worlds under attack. Green dots were the remaining free systems, but there weren't many left. Yoon, start calculating jump routes to the Centauri cluster. We'll hit them where they're strongest. Sir, that's where most of their fleet is concentrated. Intelligence says they have over 800 vessels there. Perfect. When we're ready, we'll show them what happens when you threaten human families. Kim's voice was cold and determined. Send word to all our ships. In 3 days, we're going to war. Real war. And we're going to win. As the orders went out across human space, thousands of military vessels began moving toward Earth. The greatest fleet in human history was assembling. The Vextar Empire thought they were fighting civilians and merchants. Soon they would learn the difference between human traders and human warriors. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin.